first day that he went to the recruiting office on 125th Street, I went with them and sat there and spoke to one of the officers that was in charge. And then when they left, I went on home and he left. I think he called me that same night. One day, his 21st birthday, I guess he knew that he had to get on a path that was going to set him straight. He never said what changed his mind, but he came to me and said, after he turned 21, I think I want to join the Army. And I looked at him and said, really? I said, I'm surprised. But I just had that feeling when he told me that. I had a feeling that this was going to be a good thing, and this is what God wanted him to do. Because in this neighborhood, it was things going on that I didn't really care for, and I didn't want him to be in the neighborhood hanging out.
There were so many people trying to get out the ghetto, because in the ghetto, there was just poverty and no career in it. So to see someone who's trying to get out the ghetto and see the world and not afraid to make decisions and go places, it's very impressive.
When Mike was in basic training in South Carolina, he would call me, like I said, mostly all the time. And he would say how difficult it was. And I would encourage him and tell him that he could do it. It may be difficult, but ask God for the strength and hang in there. And he would tell me how the girls used to always cry because they made you do so many different things that was difficult and strenuous. I was like, well, you could do it. Just pray about it, hang in there. It'll be over before you know it. And something had happened here while he was in basic training. And I tried to encourage him and to let him know that where he's at, it may be difficult. It may be strenuous with the activities that you're engaged in, but you're better off where you're at. We had a drug bust. I don't remember exactly the year, but it happened in October. And right around the corner from where we live, and Michael knew the family. The entire family was busted for drugs, and they got sent away to jail. So I was really glad that Michael was not in the neighborhood when that happened. I remember one night he called me. He said during the basic training, one of the comrades, young man, he got shot during basic training. I was like, oh my God, I got a little fearful, but a little fear came on at that point. But I was like, well, you just be careful. And I was like, my God, and I just prayed. Before he joined the Army, I didn't think that would ever happen, because when he was in his later years in high school, he would get mail stating to join the Army, and he would always look, not me. That was his famous words, not me. Meaning he didn't want any parts of the Army. He always seems like he had a struggle with going to school and finishing school. Getting there on time seemed like that was a problem, but he knew he had to get that high school diploma. He always wanted big things in life. That I knew. His problem wasn't academics. Sometimes he didn't feel like going to class, so he didn't go to class. But in the long run, he made sure he got that high school diploma. After training, we went to the graduation. Then he went to Virginia.
Hey, ho, up, 1, 2, 3, 4, up, 1, hey, up, 3, looking good, sounding good, looking good, ought to be Hollywood, all the way, Hellball, Ranger, looking good, look at me, hey mom, look at me, all the way, super duper, bad trooper, silver wing, on my chair, hey mom, look at me, be proud, I'm proud, to be airborne, Ranger, 1, 2, 3, hold up, 1, 2, 3, hold up.
From Virginia, he went to Germany. And then he just stayed in Germany for, I believe it was a few months. And he called me and said that he was going to Iraq. I was a little surprised that they would ship him off to Iraq that fast. But I said, don't worry about it. God is watching over you. You'll be all right. I remember telling him, I don't know if it was at that point or later on, still remember to always respect people, no matter who they are, but just be careful and watch yourself. He would call me mostly every day. He said when they had to make runs for the supplies, he says sometimes it would be a little scary when they were on ground, but he prayed. But when he was up in the air, it seemed a little bit more safer when they did the runs in the air. He had the opportunity to read the Bible, and I wanted to send him a Bible, which I did, and began to read the Bible. And he said he was able to attend church there, which I was kind of surprised at that, because I didn't know that they even have churches out there and stuff like that for anybody to attend. So I felt better for him to be there than here, because it was positive. And I believe at that time he began to decide really what he wanted to do, which is be in the arts. He wrote poems. He wrote me a poem about for Mother's Day, and he just began to write and was able to get real creative in his writing. I think his focus was on the arts all along. I think he just had to get serious with school. I mean, he went to the Army, he did what he had to do, but that wasn't his goal, to make the Army his career. I don't think it was really ever his goal, but he wanted to go to the Army to make him serious with life. And I think the Army was a good help to him, but his goals was, I believe, he always liked the arts.
Next thing you know, 3 years is up and he's home. He's coming home. Mm-hmm. And a lot of time when those visits, it was enjoyable to me.
When he got out of the Army, he was undecided first whether or not he was going to re-enlist. And then he found out that if he re-enlisted, he may be sent right back to Iraq. And he didn't want that. So he decided he was going to come out and get into a school. He went to register at Bronx Community College. And he was so focused. He got his classes. He went to school every day. He didn't miss a class, which was, oh my God, he's going to school every day. He's always at the computer or his laptop, doing his schoolwork, getting excellent grades. And I was like, wow, I believe that his stay in the Army had changed him to focus on what he needed to do to achieve his goals. We always been the type of family that loved movies. We always watched a lot of different movies. And I was really, really proud of him, because he wasn't letting anybody or anything stop him at that point. He was going to do what he needed to do to pass his classes and to go into film.
My first thought when he came out the army and he wanted to go into that career of arts, I said, wow, I was saying to myself, sky's the limit, that his courage is, outstanding, I believe that's what you need these days, because a lot of people have a limit. They wouldn't go beyond. For instance, like a singer. There's shower singers and there's singers that could get on, perform on stage. And it takes courage to get up on that stage, and I feel like the Army gave him that courage, and something clicked in that Army that made him say, I'm gonna take it to the highest level.
Once he graduated out of Bronx Community, right before graduating, he applied to different schools for the major of film. He had such a passion in it, and I feel that when you have a passion in something, that means you'll stick to it. And he loved film, and whenever you get into something that you like very much, that means you'll try your best. So I knew that it would work for him, because this is what he desired to do. He got into School of Visual Arts, and it seemed like it was going to be a struggle, because the people that were supposed to pay for the school didn't want to pay for it, because they felt that it wasn't a good major to get into, because it wasn't promising as far as a career is concerned. And he asked me one day, he said, what do you think? Should I change schools and change my major? I said, well, do you really want to do this? And he said, yes. I said, you should stick with it and fight it. I said, write the mayor, write your congressman, do whatever you have to do to get them to see that this is what you want to do. You went to Iraq, you did what you had to do, and you feel that they should pay for it. Well, when Mike first started SVA, like I said, he was real serious. He stayed in that back room, did what he had to do. He was focused. He went to school, and I believe he got to school on time, passed his first semester. He passed all of his classes, and I believe his lowest grade was a B+. And I was so impressed. I was like, this is definitely a different Michael from when he was in high school. Very, very proud of him. And he knows what he wants, he knows what he has to do. And I like that transition in him that he made